I think a lot of people look at real estate now as this like sexy business in this area where it's like you scroll through TikTok and you get all these reels put in front of you about how real estate makes you rich and what that whole world is like. I didn't have an option for a job. I was not going back to the quote unquote real world of corporate America. And I called a buddy. My buddy helped me move. And when he helped me move, he was like, man, I'm so embarrassed for you. This is pathetic. What's the matter with you? I was like, oh, while you're at it, I need $5,000.
All right, welcome back to the Roots podcast, where we talk about planting roots and building wealth in Indianapolis and elsewhere. Today, we're here with Alex Montagano. Alex Montagano is a realtor, a business owner. He owns Lockstep Realty, which is the #1 EXP team in Indianapolis. They do a crap ton of volume of realty sales. Also a real estate investor, has a residential portfolio, and just a good friend and mentor. So thanks for coming on, Alex.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
We're excited to jump in. I've been looking forward to this episode because this is going to be the closest to where Tyler and I are headed. I think captured. We had Rex on, call back to Rex episode. Rex is just in 300 doors. Like, I don't even want that. That's too much. And I'm excited to jump in. What's the point in your background becoming a realtor that you realized you didn't want to be a solopreneur and you wanted to build a business?
Yeah, so I'll go back a little further, and I think it's fun to jump into this, but I think a lot of people look at real estate now as this like sexy business in this area where it's like you scroll through TikTok and you get all these reels put in front of you about how real estate makes you rich and what that whole world is like. And I dabbled a little bit in real estate when I was in college. I worked for somebody that owned a substantial amount of real estate around Butler University, and I was a leasing agent for him. But when I got into the corporate world, when I got out of college, I really struggled with the idea of like, here's the box of what corporate world looks like, fit in it, or we'll make you fit in it. And that worked for a while when I was in my early 20s, and I job jumped a little bit. And when I got into real estate, I got in with 3 main goals. And I think it's important to cover this because it helps pave the way and tell the story. But the 3 main goals were, 1, I wanted to build a recession-proof business. I was getting in the business in 2012 when all the stories and conversations that everybody had was, man, back in 2009 and 2010, you'd go 6 months without a sale. Save your money, keep your money. And it was like, man, it's not like this in the market now. And so you're learning that. So 1 was recession-proof business, build a business big enough that you can withstand any changes of market. 2, if the time and when the time came to be a husband, I wanted to be able to be present. I had a front row seat. My mom and dad growing up, they had a great relationship. They raised me and my brother really well. They were at all of our stuff. They poured into us as parents, and we were very fortunate on that front. And I know it's not like that for everybody. So it's like, if I can build this, if you get to create a real estate business however you want, and you could build this, I want that. And then number 3, when I have kids, I want to be a present dad. And honestly, for probably from 2012 to 2018, 2019, I had no time leverage. Like, I had an admin that worked with me. I didn't have a team. I started floating some leads to some agents to be like, I have more leads than I know what to do with, but I don't really want a team. But I was doing between 17 and 18, I think I was doing like 60 to 70 deals, and a lot of that was by myself. So you're doing all this business, you're making all this money, and then when it's time to enjoy it, you're doing all these deals and you're making all this money, and then it's like, I need to enjoy it. And so what I would say is I got married in 2020. We were a COVID wedding in October, and like, I knew there were 2 things. The first thing, in 2018, I was doing a deal with a business colleague of mine, Daniel Leeper, who you guys know. I had a client who was a friend of my now wife, and we were buying Daniel's house. I did not know Daniel. He was a new realtor. And I was hammering this offer out at the dinner table, telling Daniel, you're going to take this deal. My client's the best buyer and I'm the best agent. You need to sign this. And my wife is sitting across from me eating dinner with me that she made, looking at me going, can you put it away for like 10 minutes? And if you know Maureen, like those aren't like, she's awesome. She gives me a ton of runway to be myself and to work how I love to work. But when she talks, it's super important to her. So it's like, this is that whole side of like present husband that I'm trying to build towards, that I'm feeling this, like, I don't know how I'm going to fix this. So hearing that was like, I have to fix this. 2019, 2020 assembly of a team starts happening. But 2020 at my wedding, on the party bus after the wedding, getting ready to cut it loose with like all my best friends and everything, I get a text from a tenant. Hey, there's a house on, I think it was in Devonshire. We really want to see it. And I'm like, I answered and was like, guys, I have an agent that will call you. They'll take care of it. I'm literally in the process of getting married. We'll just talk to them. I'll talk to you in a couple days. And at that point I knew it was like, I have to fix this. But if you look at me as how I run my business, I'm somebody that's like, I'm really good at developing relationships, building lead funnels, gaining trust, and closing business. That's something I did very well. The systems, the operations, the organization stuff, horrible. Hate it. Not something I ever enjoyed, and I still don't do it. So it's like, I needed to have a team for the time leverage. And it was probably like the nail in the coffin was like 2020 after the wedding. It was like, you can't keep doing this.
Yeah. Well, in your story, I just have to say this. I literally feel like you were just saying my story.
Yeah.
Same. I was going to say that was October 2023 for me.
Right.
Like,
and that was
right
2022 for me in a nutshell. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When did you have your son?
I had my son December of 2023.
Yeah. So, and then yours was like 6 months ago, right? 3 months. Golly. Can't believe you're here.
Getting married and having a kid, it makes you have to get organized as a entrepreneur in real estate and a realtor. It makes you have to level up your systems and boundaries and your client expectations. It's a really good thing, but it's not easy. And it does make a dent in your business availability.
It is like, and Maureen and I had twins in 2022 in the summer. And look, like the market was good. The rates hadn't really done what they've done and jumped up until that point. And so we had twins. Everything changed big time overnight then. And then the market moved. And it was like, it made driving business and having more opportunities more substantial because of what the rate changes were. They were putting people out of the market. I mean, rates went from 3 to 8 so fast.
Right.
And the systems and the processes. And what we've done is we took the path of I love the idea of inspiring agents and people to help them achieve and accomplish things they never thought they could do by increasing your level of tolerance and will for struggling through what you think you can't do. And so it's like, I want to sell 10 houses. And this was a conversation I had with Daniel when I just met him. And it's a fun exercise I always do. And I could do it with you guys. I think it would be fun. But it was like, Daniel, how many houses do you want to sell next year? He was like 24, 2 a month. And I was like, that's awesome, man. What if you sold just 40? And he was like, yeah, but dude, like 24, 2 a month, it's fine. And I was like, but if you sold 40, the output of 40 is only 1.5 extra homes a month. So instead of doing 2, you do 3.5. Your life's really on a workload, not that much different if you can be efficient in what you're doing. But boy, 16 extra houses. How much money do you make per deal? He's like, I make this. I'm like, what would you do with all of that extra money? How could you invest it? How could you pay off debt? What would that do for your family? And so like, those are the exercises I love to do as a team lead. But yeah.
Yeah. I want to go back because you are a very good realtor. Like, I know without a shadow of doubt, if I wasn't in real estate, came across you, met you for coffee, I would hire you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'd probably be working with a team member, but still get some level of access to you. And that'd be fine and dandy. I don't think I'd have a problem with that. But you build trust exceptionally quickly and you know your stuff, you know the market. But when did you know you were going to be a realtor? And when did that light bulb click like, oh, I'm really good at this and I want to do this?
Yeah. So 2011, I had a job at the Pacers. I was selling season tickets. We were in the midst of the NBA lockout and I was a salaried employee with a commission structure, and the commissions were paid when you could collect the full amount of season tickets. And an NBA lockout happened, and so they could only pay us a salary, and then we were collecting deposits. So deposits, salary was 25 grand. I was like, hey, if I collect all these deposits, when do I get paid the real money? Like all the commissions. And they were like, you're smart enough to ask, you're smart enough to figure out that until the season opens up and people start paying for tickets, we can't do this. So I left and took an opportunity at Exact Target. At the time, they were the trailblazer of the tech space. People were making unbelievable amounts of money in the SaaS space. And I was like, man, I could sell a ketchup popsicle to an Eskimo or, white glove woman. Yeah. So I go there, 7 interviews, and I get a job. I pull all the strings to get the work. Everybody calls in the favors. It was like the last ask of people I had. And I get in there, and like the first day I was like, nope, this is not what I should be doing. And I knew I was in a bad spot, and I was at a phase of my life when I was really immature. So like, take the idea that I picked a wrong passion to pursue, then I got it, and then I couldn't even give it the energy and the time that it deserved to see it through. I was immediately like, heck no, I got to get out of here. And so I was like trying to learn and just failing miserably, and was like, you know what? So it would have been that I started there in November. And in January, I texted a real estate guy that I knew from selling season tickets, who had told me, anywhere, anytime, any place, I'll give you a job and guarantee you'll make $100,000 if you follow the systems I make. And I was like, well, I'm not going to make the money at Exact Target that they're telling everyone. So $100,000, that was like the metric. And that's always a metric that young folks use. Like, I want to make 6 figures. So I was like, I'll just call him. So I called him up, like, hey, remember me? He's like, call my assistant, set a lunch, we'll talk about it. And so that was like January or February of 2012. I left Exact Target at the close of first quarter. So it was March 31st of 2012. I went to a 9-day real estate course and got in after that. And I knew at that point that it was my 4th job since graduating from college in 2009. So we were April of 2012, and it was my 4th job. And, we live in a different time. Job jumping was not a thing back then. You couldn't just leave a job and get a raise, leave a job and get a raise. People looked at your resume and was like, why don't you stay anywhere? And so I knew I don't have a lot of favors to call anymore. I didn't have the network I should have had. I knew I was in trouble with the idea of like, this needs to stick. And to answer your second question, getting in the business in April of 2012, I did what a lot of realtors do. I enjoyed the freedom. I'd wake up at 8:30. I lived down on the canal. I'd run on the canal in the mornings, eat my breakfast, watch Sports Center, hang out, make my way to the Century 21 office around noon, forget my computer, go home and call it a day. And it's like, all of a sudden, it was like August or September. And I remember looking at my bank account. I had no pendings. I had no clients, no clue. And I had enough money in my bank account to cover what 1 month's living was. And look, I was 25, living fast, going to Broderpool, taking advantage of Kilroy's deals on Mondays and Tuesdays and Saturday. We've all been there. And I had to get a loan from a friend. I had to move out of my canal apartment. And when I moved, the whole mentality of I didn't have an option for a job. I was not going back to the quote unquote real world of corporate America. And I called a buddy. My buddy helped me move. And when he helped me move, he was like, man, I'm so embarrassed for you. This is pathetic. What's the matter with you? I was like, oh, while you're at it, I need $5,000 because I have no plan of money and I don't believe in credit card debt. And I couldn't have got a business loan. I couldn't have got anything because I didn't have any streams of income or sources of anything. And he gave me $5,000 and was like, get your stuff together. I don't care if you ever pay me back. I just want to see you do better. And I knew at that point, that was October of 2012. I knew like back was against the wall. And then it was like, I was stuffed in a corner big time at that point. And I stopped all the crap that I was doing. So I cut out going out, I cut out the fun, and I got really focused. I started doing tons of expired calls, tons of FSBO appointments, which those used to be very common back in 2012. And then all of a sudden my sphere, because I started cleaning up some of my personal behaviors, like my sphere started chipping in. And in the first half of 2020 or 2013, I could go back and look at the numbers, but by the end of like May, I had done $4.5 million worth of business, taken a pretty nice chunk on that. Those were all self-generated leads by hustling. And I learned, man, you can be paid really, really well, and you could build something really, really fast. And I used to say this, real estate is very easy. If you're passionate about what you do, you smile at people and you're super nice and you actually care and listen. And so in an industry where that is uncommon, which is unbelievable, people making the biggest investments in the world, all you got to do is be nice and care about them and legitimately do it. And you make a nice living. I knew at that point, it was like, stay this course, stick to this path, just keep shaking hands and just keep moving. And I think I'm onto something here.
I love it. That the silence is because that story is so powerful, because the discipline that we don't see on the daily, even with our own team, not anybody on our team currently, but the people that have left and come back and been like, wait, you didn't help me. You didn't help me fulfill the 6-figure journey.
Yep.
And it's like, you showed up with no discipline.
Yeah, it is. Look, there used to be a guy when I worked at Century 21, and he would take this huge whiteboard and he'd write all this stuff on it. It was like 13, 14, 15 sources of generating a lead in a transaction in real estate. And he was like, be really good at like 3 or 4 of them. And I remember I was like, well, I'm 25. I don't have this huge sphere of people that have disposable income to buy real estate. Real estate was not the conversation that it is today. I know you guys just did a deal with somebody, I think he was 19 years old. Like, that was not a huge thing back then. So it was like, what do I do? And the guy his name's Glenn Bill. Glenn runs a team in Washington Township, ton of success, another EXP team. And he was like, for sale by owners, expired listings, open houses, door knock, for sale by owner, FSBO, fastest source of business opportunity. Like, and I was broke, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was living on my buddy's money in my crap hole of a duplex. Like, what the heck am I doing? As a kid who, like, my parents shielded me from they created discipline and behavior, but they had no idea how stupid I was like acting. And so like, I couldn't call them because my dad would have been like, tough, get a job. I don't care.
I think the most successful real estate agents are the ones that burn the ships and have to make it.
Yep.
But you find out what you're really made of. Either you have the self-discipline and the consistency, and you're a good person and you do really, really well. I think Max and I both, when we decided to get into real estate, it was I'm going to do a part-time job and have this $2,500 a month coming in. No, like that absolutely just does not work. I quit my job making $40K as a teacher. No other income was coming in. Luckily, I'd sold my first house and had proceeds.
Yep.
Without that nice little piggy bank, which was not like unlimited, I had infinite motivation to just go out and burn a freaking path through the jungle.
Well, don't you remember? It was like anytime you get a check early on, it's like, okay, this pays for the rent, this pays for the car, and then a student loan payment. And then if I go out to Brothers on Tuesday, the drinks are only $1.50.
Yeah,
like
Sunday night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can get buckets for $10 at wherever. But
well, I remember thinking my first goal was to match my teacher salary and make $40K, and I was like, okay, it was like 10 homes or something silly, easy. And then by Q2 of that year, I was like, oh, we're in business. Like I've already made it.
Yeah.
And that's when the lights really went on of like, oh, I'm taking this fully.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The cheat code is buying your runway. I mean, I tried to get in 23 doing it part-time while operating the GNC business and then buying the GNC business. That's when it happened. Bought the GNC business, jumped out of the plane, no parachute.
Yeah.
Have this new company that's a baby, right? That needs to grow up on its own. And I'm like, I still want to chase after real estate. Yeah. And then you get the wheel going and you have to cash checks to be able to pay the SBA loan on the GNC plus the mortgage. It's
such a glamorous industry too from the outside looking in. I get more calls about wanting to be an agent than I do to buy a house, I think.
Yep.
Because they're like, oh, you're the self-development guy. You're going to help me be an agent. And I'm like, sure, I'll take your call. You know, I have to vet those now because it could be unlimited. But it's so glamorous. And they see the Instagram stories of me going to appointments and showing houses. And they think, oh, I can do that really quickly. They don't know the back end of like 90% of the time, I'm hungry as hell and just waiting for that lead to pounce on. And not pounce on, that makes me sound like I'm, you know, got to force them into something. But the variable income, the stress of having a mortgage and a kid, it's a lot.
Well, and
it's still very hard for me.
Well, and I think I saw something on Instagram and I've heard this thing and you talked about burning the boats, but like as you get better, and I think we all do this in this room, I think that's why this conversation is good and why it's valuable for the room. And this is an easy conversation to have. But like in when you got in and all you had to do, the bar was a $40,000 a year salary. And then you attained it. And then what'd you do? You raised the bar and you raised the bar again. And I think that is like beyond mountains, there are more mountains to continue to conquer. And there always will be. And so the day you hit your number financially or the biggest goal you have as a realtor, look, goals are just roadmaps. Like whether you hit them or not, that's a different conversation we can all have. But that's not what the point is. Are you staying on the path? Are you still working towards what your promises are and delivering on the things that you say you're going to do? And that's what makes good entrepreneurs great. And it makes others average or poor.
Well, it's trying to find joy while you are in the game, celebrating the wins along the way. The funny thing is you start off broke, you make it, you raise the bar, you become obsessed with the bar that you've set that's way too high to achieve. You drive yourself mad. You end up going, oh shoot, I have no systems, no process. I'm doing this all. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants. My wife's yelling at me to stop working at midnight. And you find yourself needing to birth a Lockstep Realty. And then what? You built that 6 times and burnt it to the ground and built it again and figuring out the process. What I love about your team is you have admin realtors. That's what I've noticed all over the place.
So everyone within that is an agent can run their own business. So what I ran into is when I initially built the team, it was a Montagano real estate group. And I had a brand, I had a cachet, I was doing business, things were good, I had leads, and that's just what we were. Okay. And an agent left my team because it was all about me and your faces and my client's sign. And I'm like, hold on here. Like, my face was in the driveway and in the front yard and in your client's living room signing the contract last week. Like that, this is a team. This is how this is designed in real estate. Like nothing is out of bounds with this. And after that guy left the team, I think there's always a lesson to learn in how everything goes, right? So I could have looked at that and been like, forget it. He wasn't a fit for us. Onward. But I thought, is there a way to avoid this conversation ever again? Because coincidentally enough, that conversation about my face being in a front yard happened on my honeymoon when I was on the beach in Hawaii. And that burned even more. It was like, this will happen forever. Yeah. And so when I went back and I went to a couple guys on the team and I was like, hey, what are your thoughts on something like this? And they're like, what about the Montagano group? And what about this? And I called somebody that is on my personal board of directors, people that I value in the conversation, that if it's a critical thing and I'm going to ask, I used to ask 100 people. Now I ask like 5. So I went and I asked him and he said, yeah, what if you talked to a brand consultant, built something totally different that was bigger than yourself that could scale and be a real thing down the road? And I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, I'll talk to him. So I talked to this guy and he was like, hey, I got an idea. And we built Lockstep, but it's built like people would take an affiliation and say Alex and Lockstep are like similar, one and the same. But if you peel the onion back further and further, you have a bunch of agents who are running different styles of business because real estate is no longer FSBOs, expireds, door knocking, open houses,
All
yada yada.
relational.
You could do a million different things. So we have
Yeah.
a bunch of people that specialize in what they want to do. You just better stick to our core values. You better work your tail off, be passionate about what you do, and represent our brand to the fullest. And you can build your brand however you want. And our agents get to showcase themselves, which is somewhat uncommon on teams in our real estate industry.
Yeah, in business development lane, so that's around 21. Lockstep is born.
Lockstep started construction in 21, launched 22,
Okay.
February 22.
So you're hitting a time in the market where light people up, you close, and everybody can build their own business. I'm seeing a shift into 25 and building a team. Obviously, we're super early on in our team. We're almost at like that Montagano group moment where it's like, wait, are we? I mean, we are. We're down to bones at this point. And
Well, you build it up and it falls down. You build it up and then you don't like the direction. You look at it and you entrepreneurial conversation of today sucks. And the next day is we've got it all figured out. We're on the journey, and you go back and forth and back and forth every day.
Every 3 months.
Yeah.
And
So
We've got it.
yeah,
but I feel like this individual relationship business is the model of, I would say, like an era of 18 to 23 ish, and we've like turned a new corner where we're almost going back to that systematic admin business. When I look at Lockstep, I see you have role players and individual businesses. And I think you hit the right time to be able to build that,
yeah,
where you can go a little bit wider and have the platform and the brand. Where we're struggling with Roots is we've done that. Agents have picked up, left, taken their business. What are we left with?
Yep.
A whole chunk of our business gone.
Yep.
So we're like toying with, okay, how do we get everybody to kind of man their station, go back to, they can put their sign. It won't be, I don't have signs with my face on it, but it's our generated business and helping people on that blueprint to six figures. There's so many ways to win.
It's I think, look, I tell this, and it's some self-deprecating truth and humor in this. Like, I got in 12. The market improved every single year, all the way up until COVID, pretty much. I say my business grew every single year, but prices go up. There's more transactions. It's an easier job. Like, I'm not a hero here. I'm no superhuman. How did you build your rental portfolio? We could get into that. You want to know how? Everything I bought between 2015 and now. Well, if you go back 2015 to 2022, before the rates moved, you couldn't screw it up. You really couldn't. And if you're buying to hold or you're buying to move, boy, if you bought it before 2021, if you bought it, you could turn it in a couple months and make 30, 40, 50, sometimes 100%. So it's like,
just turning the key in the door.
Just turning the key.
papers.
Exactly. Yeah. And so look, I'm the benefactor of some fortune, and where we are now is like, how do you help others achieve that same opportunity within our team? But also, I think, like, and you guys probably are experiencing this too, like, not everybody that walks in the door and works at Roots is going to be like Max and Tyler, and they're never going to be. And that's like, I really struggled with that early on. Like, nobody works like me, and you guys don't get it. And now I look at it and it's like, no, I didn't get it. People are coming to me to learn what nuggets they can take from me. What environment can I create that's a formidable culture of business growth so people can accomplish what they want? When I started, I only wanted to make $100,000, right? As I grew, that goal has changed. But these agents that are coming, making $100,000 in real estate today is much different than it was in 2012. And so meeting people where they are and then leading them to the next phase and helping them understand how to raise that bar is what a lot of our agents we've been able to help. And I think they're the most appreciative of, is that they truly get to be their authentic selves within a supportive brand.
What is the full vision of Lockstep Realty?
It's a great question. I'm not a big long-term vision guy, but I've said this recently, so I'll just say it now. We'll be a real estate team that sells 1,000 houses. One of our numbers guys and a partner of mine, a friend of mine, has recently come to me and like, hey, if you look at the MyBoard top 100 list, here's where you fall. Of the people that are ahead of you, they have an average of 21 years more experience. Like, I don't really care about that. But what I that doesn't do anything for me, but I understand the value that that does for our team. So what we've always said is the bigger we make our room at Lockstep, the more opportunities our clients benefit from. There's more off-market opportunities. Today, we have a off-market listing. It's a duplex that we had 5 clients through. 4 of our agents brought their buyers through, and somebody gets to pick. Now, if that went to the open market, you guys know this, there's 50 people in that door. So it's like creating levels of benefit for our agents.
You need deals done across the table
all the time.
It's our
That's
specialty.
what we're very focused on with investment real estate, especially.
Yep.
I had 17 of 21 of my listings last year. 21 listings, 17 with a Roots agent or myself.
That's unbelievable. But, so our goal, and I've just said this, 1,000 houses. And when I said that, the guy was like, looking at it, he's like, if we do 1,000 deals, we surpass every new construction agent on the board. He's like, we are the highest team. And I'm like, what? For Lockstep's growth and where our direction is as a business, that's fantastic. That's amazing. And what that means to sell 1,000 houses, you need to have a room with a powerful culture where everyone's pulling the rope in the same direction. And that's been it's a fun challenge. Like growth makes people uncomfortable. Agents always think, no, and this isn't centered around Lockstep, but this is just conversation in general. So you guys probably experience this. You bring in 5 new agents, and the 5 agents that exist there, what do they think? Where do my leads go? What about me? How's Max going to have time for me? Are me and Tyler still going to be able to work out in the mornings? Is Tyler now going to become corporate, meeting structure?
He's got a vivid vision of Alex at the gym with 31 agents behind him, because that's about how many agents you need to hit 1,000.
Yeah. I mean, look, this is exactly it. So it's like, but if you build the culture strong enough, and I have this conversation with our agents, it's like everybody was brought to our room by somebody else. And who do you want to work with? Yeah. And if you could create an environment that's welcoming to other people, you can go, hey, I want to work with Max. Here's why Max fits our culture. And bringing them in causes hardly any ripple effect. And it just puts one more person behind the rope. And that's what makes good culture the best. And what make work in our industry doesn't feel like work. It's fun,
And it's all culture. No TC, just all individual culture. It's a brand that
AI can't fix for you. Yeah. Social media can't fix for you.
No.
None of the, all that tech, people keep talking. I had a coffee meeting yesterday. The guy talked about AI for 30 minutes. I didn't give one crap because I'll figure it out. And whatever, I'll watch some YouTube videos, figure it out. But guess what? I'm having coffee meetings with 10 people this week. 5 of them are going to close with me at some point. And that's how this business still works.
But you could be having 100 Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, follow up. AI will craft my follow up. It's like, dude, they're going to sift through that BS, in my opinion.
Look, we've leaned into, and this is a great dialogue. We've really leaned into leveraging virtual assistants. We have 6 employees from the Philippines. And look, with that comes its challenges. But again, this is about I think it's important to step back and understand what the goal is in all of this. And I think if it's I just want to do more of what I'm passionate about when I want with the people I want to do it with. I think that's probably, if you drilled into the core of humanity, I feel like that's pretty valuable. Spend time with the people I love as often as I can without fear of all this other, do I have the money and how do I pay my bills and all that stuff, right? So I had a meeting a couple days ago with an agent. She's fantastic. That meeting was scheduled by my virtual assistant. He sent a follow-up or a confirmation ahead of time and a follow-up asked her thanking for it. She then asked him, can I schedule another meeting with Alex? And then she texted me on the side and said, hey, this was great. So I think understanding this whole AI world, AI will not replace realtors. It will hinder realtors that do not use AI because you'll be left in the dust by the people that do. So it's learning
which is every advancement, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Everything that you have to adapt to.
Yeah.
And I think what you described is the ability to have freedom. And how do you get there? It's pretty simple. You need listings, you need leads, and you need leverage as an agent, at least.
Yep.
That's the way to get there. And you have the listings, you have the leads, and it took a while, but you got there, and you're at a huge pinnacle of leverage to the point of which I think, like you say, you want to do 1,000 doors. I don't doubt you.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to see it happen. Here's a debate that realtors will appreciate. Should MyBor get the team button to track volume where everybody can use it? He has his deals. I have my deals, our numbers. But I always look, I know you have everything that comes under your license. I look at it and I'm like, hey, if we added ours up, we'd be in the top 100.
Yeah. And I think again, my team came to me in 2022 when we were launching and they were like, I think we should write all our business under you because of what it showcases. And what's funny is MyBor does something now where if a deal gets put under Alex and there's a co-agent that's Max, the deal's 50-50 and the portions are cut in half. And so when we ran a calculation,
I know my listing coordinator who isn't, he's just getting it on the market, and we just like, I have him do there so he, people can call leverage, right?
Yeah,
he's got
exactly.
like crazy volume.
His volume is like beating ours.
he was
yeah, because
like crap.
He pulled up his MyBor and he's like, look at all the pendings I have. And
that's funny.
It's just all between.
It's tough.
listings.
I mean, look, like everybody's building their own business. There's always a sense of like pride in your numbers and all those things are important to you. Yeah, there should be like that way.
There really should be a team metric because then
yeah,
it is really frustrating.
To your point, I have a co-agent on every single deal.
Yep.
I don't work with buyers.
Yep.
And he inputs all my listings.
Yeah.
So
it's look, I'm the benefit. Like if you just go in, what shows in MyBor, Alex Montagano, $70 some million. Well, the guy calls me and he's like, Alex, didn't we do more than that? I'm like, we did 85 million. He's like, it says here we only did this many deals. And I punched in some numbers and I'm like, here's what happened. This is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, all that stuff, it's important because it gets put in the IBJ and it gets put out there as marketing content that then generates opportunity. But I think it's important too. Like, what are our goals?
Right.
My goal is not to be number one. Like that'll take care of itself. If we do and we commit and we stay on track, those are just like, this is process, not result. Like that's what we drive. And I know you guys are big on that.
Stipulations are going to change in the future. We know that that's temporary, but the relationships and the systems you're building are more permanent. I think you're doing the right thing there. You mentioned something that I just want to ask about, which is you have a personal board of directors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really curious, what is the point of that and what does that look like?
Yeah. So, as I've gotten older, it's like decision making is tough. There's typically like financial ramifications behind a lot of stuff that you do as you scale and as you grow your business. There's people in your life that you have interaction with often. And so they just become like, I would say a little different than like a list of mentors. Like I have a couple of people that I can just go talk to when it comes to certain sectors of things. And so, as I've built that, it's like when a critical thing happens in my life, there are just a handful of people that I'm going to go talk to. And it's formed over time. And what happens is, and you guys will experience this, and I'm sure you already are, it starts this big and then it starts coming in from the sides and then it just becomes, here's what it is. And, I always use it. And what's interesting, when I moved to EXP in 2018, I went to at the time, my personal board of directors, and I was looking for a reason not to move because I was like, man, I believe it's an opportunity that I need to take advantage of. And called my mom, called this, called that, called this, called that. Everyone's like, you need to move. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what the hell? So I called my real estate coach and I'm like, Dustin, just tell me every reason I shouldn't do this. He's like, run away from this. This is a terrible idea. And I was like, man, you're the only guy. Not only am I thinking about firing you right now, but I'm definitely going to move. So I make the decision to move. He now is an agent at EXP, which is hilarious. But anyways, it was like, that has always just helped. And what I do then is I can take the perspectives. There'll be different opinions in the room. There's different levels of professionals. It's not like every realtor here has to sell over 50, like every person's a realtor and they have to sell over 50 houses a year. And I need your opinion. It's not that. This is my best friend for 20 years. He knows Alex at his soul. And this is my wife and my mom. And this guy is a business partner I've had for a really long time. This guy manages that's how this gets built. And so those conversations, and then you look at it and go, well, this is why you're saying that. Out.
Yeah.
This is why you're saying that. And I'm going to make my decision this way. And that's really helped me move faster. I just know where to go to get the resources that I need to help me get over the humps that we face on the decision side of things.
Decision making is at a high level is really hard. I think it's really fascinating to see how some people fly by the seat of their pants, and maybe that's their parents or whatever, or their business partner. But I think having almost like a napkin, like these are the people that know me from the core of my identity. They know me as an individual or a friend, not just as a business person, I think is hugely valuable. And I think that I'm like racking my brain of like, who would be on mine? And like, I do have it informally, but I'm like, maybe I need to implement that and have people giving me that feedback across the spectrum. I think that's really powerful.
I was going to make a joke, but I'll keep that in house. You should call them.
Yeah.
What?
You should call them and call those people
Yeah.
and let them know that
That's
they're
what I'm
your board
literally
of directors.
about to do on the drive home. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
On the drive home, but
Sign this contract.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This contract.
here's it is. You're in the will. But it's just, it makes the idea of critical decisions easy. And there's no order in operation with those phone calls, but it's like, they're the people that, like the decisions that they're helping you with, they don't have the vested interest is in you. So that
Right.
all they want, like, look, my mom just wants everything to be the best for me. And my wife wants me to make decisions that help get our family with a direction that is important to us, but then also what is the least pressure mounted situation that Alex is creating. So like when I make decisions, sometimes it's like, hey, Maureen, what do you think about this? And she's like, is this going to stress you out? It's not like, oh my gosh, what would this do for our family? It's like, Alex, I just want you to be happy and healthy and present and here for us, as a husband and dad. And so it's like you get a little perspective from everybody. And then the other side of it, and I think you guys would agree with this, you take all of it and then you evaluate it. And sometimes it's just so wired into your core, you're going to do what you do because in that moment of decision, no matter what everybody else said, it's the next version of the boat burning.
Yeah.
And you're going for it. And I exchanged messages with a good buddy of mine yesterday. And we were talking about deployment of capital and investing in opportunities. And I was like, yeah, man, like sometimes you just got to go for it. And he was like, you always do. And he's an incredibly successful business entrepreneur. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah, man. Like that to me is like, and if you look back and you look at like your guys buying GNC, like you're going for it, then building Roots, you're going for it. And as you're buying properties, like, look, there's never as much money in it as you think. And there's never as much money in your bank account as you think. And then you do it. I mean, look, when I bought my first duplex in 2015, I remember looking at my bank account and looking at the house and going, well, 15% of this is everything that's in there, but I need to put money into that. Okay, so what pendings do I have? Okay, I'll pay the taxes later. And then I get the inspection report and I'm like, sit down with my buddy. He's on my personal board of directors. He's like, draws all over the sheet, shows me all this stuff as the reasons why I should do it. And he's like, just do not bail on this deal. It'll be the best thing you ever did. And I bought that duplex for $275,000 in 2015 on a 30-year rate. I owe $190,000 on it. It rents for $4,600 a month. Every single thing is upgraded, updated, fixed, killing it. It's in an A-level neighborhood. And I was like this close from jumping ship on it.
Tyler needs those leases for a comp on something he's buying.
I do. Seriously.
Yeah.
I'm doing that right now.
Yeah.
I have a duplex I'm in the middle of buying, 330, needs renovation, 5,800
DSCR.
block of college.
Yeah.
And luckily my dad is my partner, so like he's helping with the capital and he's not doing any of the work. I'm doing all the work on it.
Yep.
And it's going to be a great return for us both. But there was this thought of like, I'm cash flowing the renovations basically is part of the agreement from rentals, and I have some refinance money. But it's really tight. Like if HVAC breaks another property, like, all right, there's my savings, right? And I'm just like, I know in 10 years I will kick myself.
You have to buy that one
for not buying it.
And
like,
you can't refinance on it. You have to go run
and
through
then
that.
we were at a mastermind. And everyone was like, "Buy it. You have to buy this and hold it." And I was like, "Should I flip it?" Because I was like, maybe I'll flip it, get
literally
make the 40K in profit.
They were just like, go.
And so it was like, at a gut level when it's a really good opportunity, and you should swing for it.
Yep.
And all of us here at this table do that. We will swing, and sometimes you'll whiff or you'll foul the ball, but it's like at least you swing the bat.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's unless you're doing it or you've done it, or like the people that you want to be in the rooms with, like the biggest people, like you guys bring them in here and like you're talking about Rex and like 300 doors and oh my God, like to get in those rooms, those are the swings you have to take. Right. And like he didn't just look, we're trained and we're built and we're educated as young folks to get a job. That's what they say. That's what your parents say. Get a job. Like, hey, Dad, can I have a baseball bat? He's like, here's a resume. Get a job. Like, that's how it started when I was 16 years old. Like, but get a job, go to college, be stable, be safe, and just base hits your whole life. And sometimes, like, that is an incredible formula for how some people are wired up. But, I've even had this conversation with my wife, and I'm like, look, I can't explain it to you. I just have to do this. And she's like, do you? And we laugh because we have that relationship and she trusts me, but it's like, yes, I do. And it's like the extra rep at the gym or finishing a workout. Some people, if they don't do it, they don't think about it, they don't care. But if you were to miss it, you'd remember about it the next time and the next time. Right. And you'd be sitting on your bed, going to sleep at night going, I can't believe I didn't finish that. It eats you up inside. And like, you just got to go for it. And I think it gets a little easier to live in that world if you surround yourself with more people that have that idea. And then it helps you make sure going for it is calculated. It's not an uneducated, flown by the seat of your pants. Hey, I just did this because I'm going for it. Like, no, like I'm going for it because this fits my portfolio. This is what the cash flow is. This is what the short-term pain is. This is what the long-term opportunity is. Holy cow, we got to do this.
In your case, it's everything I've said for the past 2 years is exemplified in this one deal.
Yeah.
Like for your portfolio. So it's like, yeah, Tyler, swing it hard. Swing the bat as hard as you can because it's going to end up being a home run.
Yeah.
Going to the board of advisors, it's like this year I was entertaining trying to do 12 flips. I was sitting down doing my goals as we all do. And I'm like, I want to do 12 flips. I went to my board of advisors. You know what I came back with? Hey, Max, that's a terrible idea. Mm-hmm. You have a baby and a baby company that both need nourishing this year.
Yep.
Focus on the one thing.
Yep.
Family, roots. That's it. It's like, okay, that's where I need to go. I'm ready to go run through that brick wall. You do a ton of flips or you're entertaining some flips.
Yeah.
You do it at two things that you do interesting with them. One, most of it's cash or equity. Two, you got your financial advisor, CPA, whatever he is, to close up shop, come just work for the flips and Lockstep.
Yep.
What's the advantage of how does he bring in that partnership?
Yeah. So one, there's like a personal understanding of that this whole conversation of going for it. Like he understands my personality. So like put some guardrails around those things, knows when to push and knows when to pull type deal. But how that came to fruition is a couple years ago, 2023, I was doing my own property management. I think I probably had 14, 15 doors at the time. Life was great, but it was like, man, I want to build a property management company, I think, or at least some sort of entity to cover my stuff. So that sector's free. I don't have to touch it anymore. And then we could go pick off some other additional doors. And he was like, hey, we could do this one of three ways. We can hire Kenny Hall. He's great. We love Kenny. This is easy. I can continue to do it and try to build it out over time based on what I'm doing. Or Russ could get involved and he could get under the hood of the PM side of things. And as he got under the hood, it was like, I'll help you build it out so then we can offboard it, the roles and responsibilities of somebody else. Well, that turned into some project management when you have a tenant leave and destroy your house. And it's like, we have to put the pieces back together. Here's a $75,000 renovation. Here's all the checks. I can't, like, look, my main source of income is, and the best thing I could spend any time doing is leading and working at Lockstep. That is like the job number one. But I think when you look at creating additional business income resources, it's like, well, what else do you do? Well, I have a rental portfolio. Well, if I'm paying attention to the rental portfolio, it comes at the expense of paying attention to Lockstep. So when he took that over, it was like, I could pay more attention here. I could pay more attention here. And so when he came to me with the idea of, hey, I want to do project management with you, and I want to get under the hood at Lockstep and understand what levers we can pull to fix. He's incredible with systems and operations. I am not. That ain't my jam. It ain't going to be my jam. Let it be somebody else's and let's employ them to do it. This allows me to keep focusing on Lockstep. So early on when he came over, it was like, hey, we finished a couple projects. I'm like, I don't think this property management thing is something we're going to enjoy. Let's get into some flips. He's like, ooh, this could be fun. Like, this is like hands-on, one deal, sell it, one deal, sell it, one deal. And
for him, it's a lot of numbers.
Yeah. Numbers and in systems.
Yeah. No, it
Here
absolutely
comes
is. And that's why I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
It's all numbers. It's all real estate. It's all
do this.
I will.
You will do this. Yeah, for sure.
And I'll love it when the time's right.
Right. It's time.
So, he's got the financial understanding. He's got the personal understanding, and then he understands the operative of how to do a flip and what that looks like. So what it does for me, like, we have a house in the market right now, and the profit margins on it are great, but they're a little leaner than we'd like. But look, I think part of being an educated business professional is like, yeah, it sucks. I wish I was making double. But look, there's a cost to education. This is the first one we've done together. There's now systems, processes, organizations, and relationships that we form that make the process 100 times easier. And we probably tried to fit a square peg in a round hole in the deal, and it's probably my fault for being a little giddy and excited about an opportunity. So sometimes you got to get hit on the chin. Now, currently, we have a backlog of 3 more projects that are going on. And what's funny is, like, we look at that and we laugh at the job that we've done there from a standpoint of like, boy, we really are trying to thread a needle. And then we look at the 3 others and we're like, these are how we create big opportunities. And I think if you've ever invested, like, you look at the numbers and you're like, oh my gosh, how am I getting this opportunity? It's the opportunity you're talking about with Tyler, buying the duplex. And it's like, you have to buy it. So when recently we just bought this last one, my wife's like, do you have to buy this? I'm like, I can't not. Like,
yeah,
it's literally right over there. I have to get it, So it's like,
I can grab my binoculars and see it.
Yeah. Don't even
when
need
it's
those.
in your neighborhood, it's just too
those.
juicy.
Yeah, it's too tough, And so it's like, that works so I can keep our main things the main thing. And one of the things I've done is, the longer I've got into business, is I've empowered people in positions of decision making to help with the operations so I can do what is the most important things: recession proof, present dad, present husband. So none of that says we have to do this to sell 1,000 houses. That's just a byproduct. I don't care if we sold 999, it would burn my ass a bit, but
I'll throw you a listing.
Thank you. You'll have them. But it's like, it's about those 3 things. So, for me, it's like home every day before 5 o'clock, so I can walk in the door and see my kids for a couple hours before they go to bed, and help my wife recap the day and get dinner ready together. Like, all this is going on, and I still get to do that every day. And that is the most underrated portion in all of it. And look, you could change things and you could adjust systems and keep a little more money, but it comes at the expense of that stuff at the end. And we were talking about this before we started the pod, and it was like, talking about being a sales guy who sells a ton of real estate versus being a business owner who creates leverage. And look, leverage is not only about money. Like time leverage really is an unbelievable thing. And look, you guys both have really young kids. My kids are 2.5. Like it is hard. And it's hard to be in this business and it's hard to be in this industry. Like when the sewer line breaks at 7 p.m., it is a fire drill. And so like to not be the person that ever I get that call the next day. Alex, the sewer line broke last night. Here's who's going to fix it. Here's what it's going to cost. Well, they were going to go fix it regardless. It was going to cost regardless. But I got no stress, no conversation, no tenant freaking out, no backlash. And in the world of real estate, like stress through the roof, if you're handling everything, there's so much emotion, there's so many people, there's so much.
Or it ruins a day. It ruins a day. It ruins a night. It ruins a week sometimes. It's really cool. I mean, what we just went through is a story of I was struggling to pay that rent check.
Yeah.
And moving out of the canal, buddy says, "Get your shit together. Let's go."
Yeah.
Here's $5,000. Don't ask for more.
Shit together.
And now you're saying that when the shit breaks, you're not the one that gets the call.
Yeah, and it's the next conversation of, we've dealt with this before. You know how to do it. Just limit the damage and get it taken care of, and let the pros be the pros. I think that's the other side of this. Like, I'm a pro of real estate, but I don't walk behind an inspector and go, "Oh, you check that GFI, you better do it." Like, no, like he goes through, sends me a report. I look at the report and I say, these are the things that are important. That's the difference here. Like you line yourself with professionals that you trust, and then you keep leveling up. And like, there will be times, and look, to get better professionals in the room, sometimes it costs more money and sometimes it cuts into your profit margins. But if you're trying to build something that gives you the main source of leverage at the end, it allows you to pick and choose what your fate ultimately is. Nobody here has once said, I'm questing a journey for a financial number at the end. We would all love to be incredibly wealthy, and I believe we all will be. The journey will all be different for all of us, but the most like the wealth for me is the time that I get to spend, wife, kids, the life that we get to live, family, things like that.
Yeah, worth any cost.
Yeah.
Well, before we let you out of here, we got 3 quick like fire round questions.
Oh, man, okay.
I'll let you kick it off. Let's see how good your memory is. It's been like a month since we recorded.
Oh, I could never forget. What's your go-to dinner spot or spots in Indianapolis?
Bluebeard for sure. They just changed the chef, but I went back this weekend and it was solid. It was a great experience. So I would say that for a date night for sure.
Great pick. I can second that one. I'm trying to go tonight.
Yeah. They take reservations.
Okay.
Did you know this? They used to not. They do now. If you walk in,
new.
they will tell you have to wait and wait and wait.
Shoot.
Make a
Okay.
reservation.
I know who I'm calling after this. Oh, it's going to be ticked.
Yeah. I sat at the bar this weekend and I saw like a dozen people walk in and be like, it's an hour and a half wait. And I'm like, this is a change for you guys.
Going to Hotel Tango across the street.
Yeah, that's what we did. That's exactly what we did. Yeah.
What's one habit that's changed your life?
This will be a fun one. 43 days ago, I started cold plunging. And I think like being like the one thing about cold plunging is that if you cold plunge, you have to tell everyone that you do it. And
Yeah,
I do that. But
I've been loving the 5 a.m. stories.
Oh man, it's
You and
awesome.
Drake.
I do
Crushing
like it
it.
a lot.
I worked out with him first, and it was the first day I did it was with him. It was like 18 degrees outside, and I was like, but I got to the middle point of the day and was like, I feel different. I feel different. I feel different. And so what it's helped with, I sleep better at night. My caffeine intake after probably like 10 a.m. is gone.
Yeah.
I've removed like, you're a supplement guy. I bought caffeine free pre-workout. Like I'm trying to eliminate a lot of that stuff because
I can verify he's not lying.
yeah.
He got the goods from me.
Yeah. So like getting into cold plunge, and
Shot
now it's
PNC.
become like we've just gone through this polar vortex, and I can't show you guys the ice situation.
I haven't got in
home.
mine. I about cussed, but I've been wimped out.
It's like the hole has gotten smaller and smaller. I got in my garage and I was like stuck and I could hardly get out of it, but it was like I did it. And so this has become one of those things as a challenge where it's like,
I got to go buy one this
So-
weekend.
just do it.
I have to share this. Tim Ferriss does it every morning. I'm a huge Tim Ferriss guy. And he says the reason he does it is not necessarily because of the health benefits, although there are numerous, right? Fat burning, all that stuff. But he says it's just an immediate state change.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mood
Well, it's
change.
like doing a bump of
immediately.
cocaine, right? Like that neuron.
Yeah.
It
It is.
actually is.
And I had I was having a really rough day
Not that I
earlier
know what
this
that's
week.
like.
Yeah. Earlier this week, I
No
was
surge
having
here,
a
Max?
rough day. It was Tuesday or Wednesday. It was like negative degrees outside. I couldn't get in my plunge in the morning because it was frozen. I texted Drake. I'm like, can I come by your house? He's like, garage is always open. Just, turn the lights off, lock up, and make sure you put the lid back on the plunge when you're done. And so I'm outside freezing. I did it. I'm like, my toes are burning, my feet. I'm like, oh my gosh. And after that, it was like, I feel better. I'm happier. I feel like I accomplished the hard, and my mood, it's been, you don't sweat the small stuff anymore because you're frozen, but that's okay.
I'll go buy the horse trough this weekend.
Yeah.
Put it in the backyard. I've never done it. I've been doing the sauna
You'd love
in the
it.
morning.
You'd
I
get
do
addicted.
like 30, 35 minute sauna sit, but I don't know what the difference is. I'll have to look
They're
it up.
very different.
No,
Sauna,
I know that they
they're
are.
opposites, right?
Yeah.
But I love the sauna. I got one, and it's a game changer.
Yeah.
If I've had a hard day, sweating it out, and just the serotonin bump,
Yep.
just like pure bliss, like just.
So you're
sweating
hitting
it
the
out.
sauna evening time.
I've been doing a lot of evening sauna. Sometimes in the morning, like especially if you had a big night and you drank, the next morning you feel way better.
So when I worked out with Drake every Friday, cold plunge, get ready, then we lift. So your body's like naturally heating itself. I didn't realize how great you would feel in your lifts, but your heart's going, your energy's
I don't
up.
know why the gym doesn't have one.
Oh man.
They're gonna be more popular, I'm sure. But yeah,
Then at the end, 15 today I did like 22, 23 minutes in his Sisu, but 222 degrees in that. And then I right back in the cold water, dunked the head, and it was like, man.
it's truly better than cocaine doing them both like back and forth.
Oh, it's awesome.
It is amazing that high you get.
I don't know anything about cocaine, but what I do know is that the plunge and the sauna stuff, it is killer.
None of us have had cocaine. I don't.
That's good.
But maybe.
That's good.
Okay, I'm not.
No.
I haven't at least. Don't need it.
Yeah.
You got a cold plunge.
Good
Get
old
in
cold
the cold plunge.
plunge. Sell houses.
Yeah. That's it.
Last question for you. This has been a ton of fun. I've learned a lot, and got one more question for you, which is, what is an area of your life you're currently working on growing?
That's a good question. I would say I'm probably working on a lot of understanding communication styles with other people. I was thinking about this yesterday of how I used to lead our room has changed a lot, with more like trying to meet people where they are and understanding that how you talk to different people. Like some people in our office talk about Enneagrams, other people are disc profiles or Myers-Briggs or whatever it is. But look, like how I can come talk to you guys is different than how I can go talk to some other friends of mine or my wife or people on my team. And so like with leadership styles, I think what has helped me evolve to a better and better leader is like, you can't just sit at the front and drive results how I want results to be driven. And so as I've gotten to the core of understanding people better and learning more about them, you can drive them how they need to be driven, not how you want to drive them. So it's more meeting people where they are, so you can help them accomplish the things that are most important for them. And I think you guys would agree with this, is like you lead your team. The more successful everybody is around you guys, you're the byproduct of it. So you're the benefactor of your new agents picking up how to do open houses and growing businesses and leading culture. That's why, I'm biased, but our culture's unbelievable. So that's why that is, I believe, a big part of it.
We had 2 guys hit the 6-figure club last year.
It's amazing.
I gave way more of a crap about that than whatever my bottom line was.
It's incredible.
Like,
you're changing those people's lives, dude. Like, that's amazing.
And that win is just, I don't know. That's what drives me through this year. I want to add 3 or 4 more people on and do it again in 25.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Thanks for coming on.
This was awesome.
Where
This
can
was fun.
where can people find you?
Instagram at Alex Montagano. So Montagano. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm starting to boost that presence. That's the next wave.
LinkedIn is taking off.
It's taking off.
Yeah, we're getting hot on LinkedIn. Facebook. Building out a YouTube channel, but you could look up Lockstep Realty on YouTube. So we'll build that out. And yeah, probably the best ways to find me.
I love that. We're rooting each other on. We're like
It's fun.
Not on the same teams, but on the same playing field.
Yeah. It's amazing.
We get to run into each other and one of us gets tackled.
There you go. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much.
Man.
Thanks for coming on. This has been another episode of the Roots Podcast. Be sure to leave a comment below. Let me know what your favorite fruit is. Peace.